Alison Gordon joins me now. She's the CEO of 48North Cannabis Corp. Alison, welcome back.
Thanks for having me, James.
You bet. Alison, you've got a big outdoor crop growing in somewhere near Brantford, Ontario.
Yes, we do.
Tell me about that.
Okay, it is incredible. You would absolutely die if you saw it, because it is 3.5 million square feet of cannabis growing outdoors. So when you pull up to the farm, it's just like as far as your eye can see, there's just cannabis and weed growing everywhere.
And it's not hemp.
Beautiful. It's not hemp.
It's the real deal.
It's cannabis. It is the real deal.
So this is for a recreational product?
It will be for a recreational product, yes, but obviously it could also be for a medical product in the future if we chose that, yeah.
Okay, so now let's correct the broadly held
Yes.
misconception that you can't grow good weed outdoors in Canada.
Okay, well that is crazy. We grow a lot of things outdoors, do we not? Many
Best
things.
tomatoes in the world.
Right, we grow grapes for wine, we grow all these things outdoors, so people are gonna see, I think that's part of it, that misconception. So when we start harvesting, and I think now as people drive by, it's funny to watch cars drive by because they sort of slow down as they're going by the farm, because you can see, like, right, you know, there's fencing and security, obviously immense amount of it, but it's not barricaded. So it's people I think are like, oh wow, that does grow outdoors, and it grows tall.
Cool. So are you growing, is it indica sativas? Like
Yes,
what's the,
there is a mix of indicas and sativas.
Very good. That's as much as we need to know about the particular flavors.
And we have some 2-to-1s on CBD, because CBD is in high demand in Canada. So we're growing some high CBD strains too.
So are you going to make extracts and isolates?
Yes, so probably at least, you know, I would say 80 to 90% of the farm will be used for extraction. And some of it will be used for dried flower, the rest of it, but the bulk of it is for extraction, because that's the nature of the outdoor beast in some ways, but it's also where the market's going. So it's like, but it's beautiful to see. I can't wait for you to see it. So does the
ability for you to grow outdoors represent a huge improvement in your whole opportunity?
Yes, and like think about it. So we had our 2 indoor facilities that could do about 2,500 kilos each. And we've now converted one of those facilities, the one that's 10 minutes from the farm, to be our post-harvest. So the extraction, the manufacturing of all the products. And those, you know, it's a lot of infrastructure for growing that amount of cannabis at the end of the day. And the costs obviously are significantly more to grow indoor in a greenhouse. Now you take it outside and you're looking at, you know, 3.5 million square feet on a farm that costs, you know, $1.5 million. Obviously there's some other costs, but in no ways does it count towards like an indoor or greenhouse.
Sure. So then what about, I'm just going to run through the misconceptions that people have brought to me. So there's this idea that you will never sell medical cannabis from weed grown outside because birds poo on it.
I have never heard that one. As I said, the bulk of the product is for extraction.
Right.
So you can remediate, you can do what you need to do if you so choose. Everything's obviously lab tested, and I don't really understand that. I mean, interesting. That's an interesting one. I haven't heard that one before.
But could you sell like premium dried flower, a cola, off of an outdoor crop? Would it pass Health Canada's rigid inspections?
I believe yes, it would. I mean, we are growing organically, which is the other cool thing about our farm, is that it's all organic. So obviously we have to lab test in the same way that you would, and you're looking for the same factors as you would indoors. So it will be awesome.
Wow. So this will be available in cannabis stores across Canada on a recreational basis?
Well, we've already signed supply agreements for the outdoor flower with Quebec, Ontario, and Alberta. So you will be having the outdoor flower in those provinces, which is super exciting.
Yeah, no doubt.
They're very excited to have it.
So do you think that Canada is going to end up being a place where nobody grows indoors because we grow so much great marijuana outside and we've got so much land?
No, I think that the indoor product is a different style of product. I mean, because you're controlling all the variables, the way it looks, the cannabinoid content, it's a more, I hate to say premium, it has shelf appeal, you can play around with it in a different way. So I believe there will be an indoor market for sure, because it's just like there's craft anything, right? But in terms of the fact that, you see in California 70% of sales being the extractable products like vapes, edibles, topicals, supplements, I mean, all of those things, that needs to come from outdoor for it to be cost efficient for everybody to win, including the consumer. And that's where I believe it will go. I mean, we see there's been a few more outdoor licenses in Canada. I think by next year there'll be some more. Like it will go in that direction. It's the only thing that makes sense.
So do you expect to sell everything that you produce on this outdoor project?
Yes, 100%. I do expect to do that because we're still undersupplied in Canada.
Right.
Right.
At what point do you see the undersupply becoming oversupply?
Well, that's an interesting question. I change my mind every day on that, but I definitely think you will see more outdoor next summer, and maybe that post that harvest is where you might see the supply catch up with the demand.
Right.
I mean, obviously there's other factors like how well are the industry doing at bringing people into the legal market, right? And if we have a lot more uptake in the legal market, then the supply will continue to go lower, right? Like meaning that we still need to catch up to that. So it's all a big puzzle.
Yeah. Okay, so 48 North Cannabis has been growing both organically, figuratively and metaphorically, as well as through now acquisition more so, and you've just recently completed a strategic investment in Friendly Stranger. Tell me about the thinking behind that. What's that going to achieve for the company as a whole?
So retail is obviously a big part of this business, and it's uncertain what retail looks like in all these provinces, you well know. And the other challenge that we have is that you have very large companies who have a lot of cash on hand who want to own every inch of the vertical. And for us, we really want the opportunity to be able to show up for consumers in the way that we are as 48 North, as you would in a grocery store. They buy shelf space or they can do pop-ups or do these things. It's very difficult in our world to do that. So we believe in the Friendly Stranger and Green Acres Brands, who is the large shareholder in that company. They've been in business forever. They know how to run retail, and I think that's one of the big challenges of retail in Canada, especially in Ontario, is that it was a lottery. Everybody could put in, and you could be someone who's never had a job and you won the lottery, right? So retail's not necessarily running as we would like to see it for consumers, but looking at a company like Friendly Stranger with significant retail experience and their plans for expansion and how they plan to engage the consumer was very aligned with us and just authentic, real, and for us, that's where we want to show up. So we were like, let's do it. Let's get in there. Let's be part of the Friendly Stranger family.
Interesting. The whole rollout of the recreational cannabis regime in Canada was fraught with criticism of infrastructure and logistics. I'm just curious, from your perspective as a CEO of a cannabis supplier to that network, have those problems largely ironed themselves out?
Are you talking about at the provincial level for retail and distribution?
Yes.
No. Not 100%, nor and there's no criticism. It's I can't, I've said this before to you, it's not just me kissing ass of government, but it is a monumental task. Think about it, moving into legalization. And then at the provincial level, it's also difficult. So we had a change in government, obviously last year with Doug Ford coming in. We were originally going to be government run like the LCBO. Then, you get a change in government and no, it's not going to be that, which we'd all been meeting and working towards. Yes, we'll do that online, but we're going to go private. And first we're going to award 25 licenses. Well, 25 licenses is a small amount for the province of Ontario. I mean, we have 5 in the GTA. I can't even begin to imagine how many liquor stores we have in the GTA. So of course that creates all sorts of ripple effects for us as suppliers, for the consumer, which then impacts us. So we know that they're going to do another chunk soon. And then, there's rumors about what will happen in 2020, whether it becomes like Alberta, where it's a complete free market. Which would be quite interesting, where you sort of, if you meet the parameters, this hasn't been announced, but this is the rumor, you could get the license, and then it's up to you to make a success of it. So it has to grow. Distribution and retail needs to grow.
You finished planting your 3.5 million square feet in July.
Yes.
And so is that you got half a growing season?
No, not at all. First of all, the season was late this year because there was record rain in the spring, right? So many farmers and crops were planting at the same time as us. And we've got the auto flowers, a percentage of the farm is autos. Those will harvest in the next 2 weeks, and then the rest will come out in early October. So that was always our plan. It's just the veg time maybe was shorter than we had originally anticipated.
Well, I can't wait to see the place.
I know, you're gonna just, you can't, like, it's really, really exciting. It changes the whole vibe because it's not, you've been to facilities and ours too, you're studing up, it's like a whole, now it's just a crop, right? And it's just there, and it just feels like, you know, vindication for those of us who've been using cannabis for a long time. It's like, okay, it's just natural.
Right.
It's just here.
Finally, it's free.
It's free. We let it out of the closet. It must be so excited. The little plants are like, I'm free.
I mean, if they could only talk. No, wait, it's probably a good thing they can't. All right, Alison, that's a great update. We're going to leave it there for now. I'll come back to you soon. Thank you very much for coming.
Come to the farm.
We'll be there in 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
1 week.
Next week?
2 weeks.
I think we're busy
September
next week.
5th.
Oh, that's when you're coming?
Yes.
I knew that. We'll see you there on September 5th.
Sounds great. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.